Today, Donald Trump is pushing ahead after his big win in New York. The GOP frontrunner is now in Indiana. Voters there get set to head to the polls on May 3rd. That is fewer than 2 weeks away. Trump beat his nearest rival here in New York, John Kasich, the Ohio governor, by 35 points. As you can see here, Kasich with 25% of the vote yesterday, idling in third in the teens. Texas Senator Ted Cruz with 14%. Scottie Nell Hughes is the chief political correspondent for USA Radio Network and an avid Trump supporter. Scottie, we want to dive in with some sound. I want to take a listen. This was Ted Cruz speaking at a rally in Pennsylvania, in Hershey, PA, where he is, speaking rather tongue-in-cheek, I think it's fair to say, discussing yesterday's win by Donald Trump here in New York.
You may have heard there was an election yesterday. And as the media are breathlessly reporting, Donald Trump won his home state. Truly a remarkable achievement. Upon winning his home state, Donald, with a characteristic display of humility, declared this race is over. Manhattan has spoken. And if the rest of the voters would quietly go home now and allow him to give the general election to Hillary, all would be better. And the media repeats this with great excitement. By the way, here are a few facts that they may not tell you. State of Wisconsin, I won 13,000 more votes in Wisconsin than Donald Trump did last night in New York.
Well, apparently there's an infant in the state of Pennsylvania who's still undecided. But meanwhile, your response to the Texas senator's discussion of the result?
Well, it's interesting because Ted Cruz in his own home state only won by 44%. He didn't even get 50%. And you saw 61% for Mr. Trump in New York. Now, let's also go back and look at history. When you look back at the last election, 2012, with Mitt Romney, you only had 118,000 Republicans in this state came out to vote for Mitt Romney. We're looking at numbers at what, 518,000 this time. We have very motivated voters that are coming out, motivated Republicans, and this is a primary where you had to be a Republican. We heard all over yesterday of people that were independents going to the polls, and they were upset because they thought they weren't able to vote for Mr. Trump. We heard of Democrats who wanted to actually vote for Mr. Trump and realizing that these were closed primaries. That frustration will not happen in November when they get the opportunity to vote for Mr. Trump.
The poll suggested that it would be a big win. Donald Trump, as did Hillary Clinton, seemed to outperform expectation there. However, a recent poll shows that Donald Trump has the highest unfavorable rating of all 5 candidates still in the race. He's still several hundred delegates short of the magic 1237. We've seen him in one breath call the system crooked and rigged. In the next breath, though, seem to be more reasoned on the stump, if you will, especially after the reorganization of the campaign. So is there a sense, is he making a pivot? Is the campaign now making a pivot from some of its earlier tactics?
Well, I don't know about tactics. I mean, the base is still the same. The principles are still the same of Mr. Trump as he was out in July as it was today. But because he is a businessman, just like in business, you have to change with the crowd that you're responding to. You change the messaging, you change the wording. When you start off with 17 people on a stage, guess what? You need to make sure that the spotlight's on you, which he was able to do. He actually took control of that conversation. He was on the offense. He's gone back and forth, defense, offense, but guess what? He has always had the conversation. Now that it's down to just him and 2 others and really just one, and after last night mathematically impossible, it's really just him. I think we're seeing a candidate that's getting ready to run for the general. And right now I look at the issues of Ted Cruz right now. All Ted Cruz is doing is just giving the other side more sound bites for the fall to run against Donald Trump. That's exactly what we're dealing with. You know, for so long, Ted Cruz was telling John Kasich, once you are mathematically not able to win on your own based on the votes, why don't you drop out? Why is he not taking his own advice this morning? If he really cared about the unification of our party and winning the White House back for the GOP, that would be the best tact for both of them based on their own advice they were giving.
He is now in the same boat as Ted Cruz, as John Kasich, as you mentioned, perhaps now hoping for a contested convention and to see what may come of it. There has been, though, the catch-up being played now by the Trump campaign, the hiring of Paul Manafort and the reorganization at the state and local level, commitment to a ground game that we hadn't seen really across the country. Was Donald Trump taken by surprise by the wrangling for delegates that is a clear part of this process with about 30 seconds left?
Talking about, well, he's not a politician. And have no doubt, no matter whatever else is going on right now, Mr. Trump is still and will always be the head of this campaign. Not a thing is going on without Mr. Trump okaying it and be a part of it. The campaign has grown to go with the challenges we're facing, probably, possibly at a contested convention. We have the insurance, but more importantly, in November, going up against the Democrat.
On we push to next Tuesday, the 26th. Scottie, Nell, Hughes, nice to have you.
Thank you.